My wife and I start our adventure today from Pateley Bridge. We have a few days holiday here, and to make the most of the glorious early summer sunshine, we're out with our boots on our feet and a packed lunch on our backs, heading up the Nidderdale Valley along the old trackway. The Upper Nidderdale Railway operated for just a few decades. It continued further up the valley from the end of the regular line, which terminated at Pateley Bridge, up to the reservoirs of Angram and Scar House in the beautiful Yorkshire Dales. The route we're following is mostly along the Nidderdale Way, following the River Nidd up the valley initially towards Gothwaite Reservoir, the lowest of three in the valley, built in the early 1900s. The river is pretty, flowing calmly at this time of year, and the path is easy to follow. The old trackway is all that remains of the railway line built in the early 1900s to provide a link up the valley for the workforce and materials needed to build the upper reservoirs of Angram and Scar House.
No, it doesn't show, does it?
Bradford City Council were the initial owners of the line, and they built a narrow gauge railway with the sole intention of temporarily serving the construction of their new dams. After the upper dams were completed, the combined interests of the council, the North Eastern Railway, who were the operators of the standard gauge railway up to Pateley Bridge, the upper line was converted to standard gauge and run as a normal public railway. Stations were added at various locations, some of which my wife and I hope to find along our trek today. Stiles and gates also feature along our trek, but we keep our eyes focused on trying to spot old railway items or features. The original alignment is very clear as the trackbed works its way up across open flatlands here. This raised section has pretty wildflowers growing in the fields and meadows all around. Some parts of the original trackway are private land now, so we have to divert around a little, following public footpaths. The first old station along the line is at Wath. It's now a private house, and nearby we spotted a hotel, pub and garden, and planned to stop by for a drink on the way back. That's a bit low. No, it's too low. I'll get wedged if I go through. The line rises up quite steeply in parts, and this section needs to climb up past the first reservoir, which had already been built by the time the railway first ran. This beautiful cutting is now overgrown with mature trees, but I assume the old line had most of this cut back and bare back in the day. For some time around 1910, two ex-Metropolitan Railway tank engines were used on the line with mixed results. They were really too heavy for the line here and neither lasted very long. My wife and I stopped on the Reservoir bank for lunch. The water, the sun, the views across the valley and time away from the busyness of other regular days was making this trek out today most enjoyable. We could continue further up along this side of the reservoir, but with no transport back, we decided that this was far enough for today. Stick with this video as in the second section we will continue to explore the upper part of the line. Returning to Wath, we next looked at the old buildings originally used as a mill before diving into the hotel's beer garden for a cool drink. My pint of Hambleton Stallion went down a treat. Back at Pateley Bridge, today's adventure up the Nidd Valley was over, but my wife and I then continued on by car to explore the amazing Brimham Rocks, just east of Pateley Bridge. If you're interested in seeing how magical these rocky features are, do look at my other video about our trip there. I've added a link to that in the description below. But a day later now, we return to explore the upper part of Nidderdale. We parked at Middlesmore, further up the small road northwest from Pateley Bridge. From there we followed the broad rough track further northwest over Inmore. I had hoped to pop up to tick off the trig point at 453 metres at Rain Stang, but the local signs were keeping walkers away due to the current bird nesting season. Off the higher ground, the view overlooking Scar House Reservoir was clear, although the weather was getting a little overcast. We stopped for a quick lunch and tried to work out the layout of the old temporary village which was erected just below us to house and cater for the workforce building the dam. Exploring the dam, the spillway has a very clever symmetrical runoff arrangement which disappears into the woodlands below the dam. As with most dams used to supply water for a city, all the main pipework is hidden below ground. The signage suggests that some upgrade works has been going on here, but there didn't seem to be anything to look at specifically. The information boards explain how the area here was a busy place back in the 1920s and 30s, with the temporary houses, shops, schools, church and even a massive concert hall with a cine projector room. The whole site is mostly all clear now, except for the foundations showing in the grass, like we would see old Roman ruins. We followed the road back down around the valley where the old railway line would have been at the side of the road. The tunnel, added around 1920 for the uphill trains to use, is still here to see. A little further down, we cut right off the main path to cross over the ridge on the way back to Middlesmore. Walking towards the Crown, the temptation was too great and we just had to stop for a quick drink in the sunshine which was back out this afternoon. From Middlesmore, we drove back to Pateley Bridge, but stopped along the road to spot the other old station buildings, which are now private residences. Lofthouse has a station on the line, and now, like the others, the old building has been converted to be a private house. The upstairs area has a doorway leading to nowhere, but it looks like there used to be an outside stone staircase, which has since been removed. Ramsgill station is next, and this is set back from the through road a little. The site is beautifully kept and there's evidence of where the line used to cross with a low bridge over the stream. Thank you for watching and following along with the trek my wife and I have enjoyed, walking part of the old trackway here in the Yorkshire Dales. If you've enjoyed the tour and watched some of my other videos, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so yet and giving me a thumbs up for this video. For a final stop before getting back to Pateley Bridge, my wife and I stopped to look at the massive Foster Beck water wheel which stands to the side of an old building just off the roadway. The car park here is for the Bridge Inn. Thanks for watching and bye for now.